The classic musical Fiddler on the Roof is coming back to the city this summer. This time it's going to be off-Broadway, and it's kind of a twist here. It is a production by the National Yiddish Theater Folksbiene, and this morning we have the group's CEO, Christopher Massimine. He's with us and tell us all about it. So let's start with the beginning. What's the twist?
Sure. So it's very exciting. This version of Fiddler on the Roof, the Yiddish version, hasn't been seen in over 50 years. It was only produced once before, and that was in Israel, a year after the Broadway production had occurred. Okay. The translator, Shraga Friedman, was a Holocaust survivor, and he was also the leading translator of all the Broadway musicals into Hebrew. This was the only one he did in Yiddish. And it wasn't a literal translation. It was a translation that was based on the context of what was going on historically in the day, who the characters were of the Shalom Aleichem stories, and goes back into the community which Fiddler on the Roof was based on. So at its roots, it's a dark show with moments of levity in the comedy. So people who are expecting the musical to be a musical comedy, this is much more to its roots.
So we're thinking of that original version you mentioned was the Shira Mastel, and there have been all these different versions over the year. So that version you're talking about is the one that's going to come to your theater here in New York this time around. Tell us about what was it like having to cast that. I understand you just told me the casting process just wrapped up. It was a challenge to find actors who were able to do this?
You know, it's very exciting. It's a different language, so that's always a challenge per se, but we had over 1,000 people come out to audition for this show. Wow. I mean, Folksbiene itself means people's stage, and it was founded in 1915 as a theater really of community. It was the first theater of social change in the country. It had walks of everyone in life, from immigrants to the LGBT community to independent women when you weren't allowed to go out as an independent woman. It was a really kind of cool place where everyone was welcomed, and that's kind of how we are today. So we're very hands-on in a very good supportive way with our actors and the auditions, and people come in a little nervous, but they come out excited and rejuvenated, and it's an inspiring process.
What are you hoping people will take away when they see this production?
Message of hope. So Fiddler in itself has always been a story of survival, but where there's survival, there's always hope at the end of the tunnel. This is a story of change during a very interesting socio-economic time, which is maybe interestingly why it's here during a very interesting socio-economical time in our country. So really, we want people to come away inspired, people to connect to their identity and heritage. And it's not just the Jewish experience. We use that very specific experience to be universal, because I'm a big believer, as universal things are. It's because of how specific they are that they connect.
And now, not everyone who comes to this production will likely fully understand Yiddish. So how, as a director and as a cast, how do you communicate, you know, a message like that in a language that might not be universal in that room?
Absolutely. Let me take it in two steps. So for those who don't speak the language, the majority of our audience actually doesn't speak the language. It's a very eclectic mixture of demographics from early childhood through senior citizens. Our biggest demographic, 25 through 35, believe it or not, super titles. Super titles in English, super titles in Russian, super titles depending on what pockets of different ethnic and multicultural communities are coming to see the show. And direction-wise, we're very fortunate to have Tony and Oscar winner Joel Grey at the helm. And his connection to Yiddish is very, very vast and important. His father, Mickey Katz, was one of the leading song and dance men of the Yiddish stage. So his interpretation is authentic, on point, and very sincere. It's a beautiful thing to watch Joel in action.
Tell us about the timeline. So you've just finished casting, so rehearsals begin, and when do you go on the boards?
Well, so we're making offers now. We should know in the next week or so in terms of making the auditions, and basically how we work, because we're a foreign language company, is we're able to start a pre-production language course, which begins almost immediately, but the official production rehearsals start June 4th, with Independence Day being our first slot of performance.
Okay, and where can people catch you?
They can catch us at the National Yiddish Theater at the Museum of Jewish Heritage, Battery Park City, right across from the Statue of Liberty.
All right, I wish you luck. Never say luck, never say break a leg.
Have a little mazel.
Okay, there you go. Thank you so much for coming in. Wish you all the best. Time is 7:26, and we'll head over to the news desk. Here's Pat.